very different ways. EKC, same old players, but not looking like the same greats that we saw back in Season 3 when they took it all the way to Grand Finals. But I'm a believer. And I think I'm hopeful that this season will see the start of the EKC resurgence. But of course, I am also a Bozo fan, so I gotta watch how I talk here. I'm just gonna leave it up to the players and see which team manages to come out on top here.
Yeah, leave it up to the will of the core gods. Everyone picked the happy star here. Notably Soren on that vice goalie, and we see Katsuna running the Finny midfield. So EKC hoping to pump out the damage with those extra specials here, but having to survive against the power play, it's Bozo Bunch who will be taking the first goal off a nice little death touch play there. I mean, likewise, they've got the Luna Rune combo coming out in the backfield, so this can be an interesting one. Both sides, I think, there's a couple key awakenings that everyone's going to be looking for. It's not like super traditional comps here, and I think that's pretty standard, I guess, for both of these teams in particular.
Yeah, and you brought up that Luna Rune combo. We just saw it drop right there. The Banish into Crater Maker, and Katsuna is now finding himself almost staggered. That's a dangerous spot to be in, and that's a 2-point lead for Bozo Bunch. I do think that with this extra special start, the Luna Rune combo is perhaps one of the most volatile pairings that can take advantage of those awakenings. Not just because, you know, both of those ults are great, but as we just saw there, they're great when used together. And it actually means that Katsuna is only now hitting level 2, because he just hasn't been able to play the game all that much yet. But EKC still have some time to bring it back, and they are grabbing barriers now.
An open barrier on the side of Bozo Bunch. The banishing to Crater Maker comes out. NXED getting chunked right there. Allows Bozo Bunch a little bit of room. They pick up one barrier. Merchant unable to find the finish for the KO. There's now the core getting pushed back toward Bozo Bunch's side of the field. NXED looking for that dash punch. Not quite enough power on that one, but Katsuna sending it back up into the top corner. Soren coming up to the midfield. The Supernova into flurries. Merchant makes a great save. Gets it back over to Dropletto. Looking to snag this barrier, but doesn't quite get the angle that he's looking for. Core flip here from Streak. That'll bring it down, and now both sides be opened up right as we're about to head into overtime, but a big banish coming in. Merchant actually looks like may have saved NXED's life a little bit there, but Dropletto with the death touch and going to the dribble, has a core flip available, receives the pass, here's a flip, gets caught in the flurries though, makes the save. Now NXED with the core getting bounced around. Soren back up in the midfield, not able to connect with much. Merchant boosting in, looking for the strike war, gets it, and the first set will be going over to Bozo Bunch.
Yeah, incredibly clean from Bozo Bunch on all fronts. Multiple combo KOs, and then just sitting into open space. Playing 3 characters that just absolutely love the core to be in open space. It's Dropletto picking up the set MVP here, though. Stacks on stacks on the board, as well as 1-2 punch potentially. But not too much else. The 1-2 punch will be picked up. Deadeye on Soren is going to be more damage to the side of EKC. Spark of Strength with 3 sparks on the board is not a fantastic get for NXCD, but it's any port in a storm, and Katsuna picking up Stinger. So I do think that this means that EKC, having drafted this Finny Vice combo, and then, I mean, Julie is no stranger to damage either, they definitely have the potential to get some KOs, but when you keep getting banished into Crater Maker like that, it's going to be hard to play a KO comp when Merchant and Streak seem to just be doing it better.
Yeah, they've been pretty automatic with that combo thus far, and you don't need an insane setup for that, just good timing on the second ability there. See Merchant boosting in, Supernova from Soren, able to push that one out of there as NXED and Katsuna looking for something. They'll pick up a KO, or should let me defend, loses the barrier immediately. They're on the 2-on-3 here with Soren pushed up. The triple take comes out. They hold it for a bit, but it will eventually fall. Now 3-on-3 yet again. NXED looking for shots on the net. Soren sending it back in the pillar from Streak to buy some time. Dropletto trying to hook it back, but can't get it past the midfield line right now. As Streak trying to force it back through, but the battle over the midfield line is intense. Merchant boosting in. Does have a core flip available. Streak trying to pass it up, but Merchant has to eject button back. Now the core for Bozo Bunch as they're trying to bring down this final barrier. Dropletto able to find the shots. Now Streak dribbling in the midfield. Gonna go for the combo instead as Merchant boosts in. Nice evade from NXED to stay alive, but Soren gets caught out by the pillar and can't find the power cord. Bozo Bunch gonna score first yet again.
Yeah, and fantastic foresight by Streak there. Normally, you get that banish, you're so tempted to just drop the 2 pillars down, forget about it, and get the free kill. But instead, he actually saved the primary, which is what secured that goal. But what a supernova from Soren! Drops in, nearly staggers Dropletto, and takes Merchant completely off the pitch, eliminating those stacks on stacks. An incredibly high value play there from EKC, and they've still got a barrier of their own. That'll be NXCD with the help of Katsuna putting EKC on the board for the first time in this series.
Yeah, interesting set of interactions there that led up to that, and ultimately it was the death touch that brought the core right back to where NXCD was standing. But Bozo Bunch off to a little bit of a better start here at this point. Off kickoff, they get 1 barrier though. EKC able to trade 1 out. The banish comes through. Here's the Crater Maker. Doesn't quite get the kill, and NXCD is now trapped in the corner, but they will be losing both their barriers. Bozo Bunch look to rectify this, but having some trouble getting it past, and Dropletto just getting punched around in that corner. Doesn't have anywhere to go. Boosting in, it's Merchant on the bottom side to try and keep it up. Doesn't find much though as the core slowly floating back toward the midfield. Another shot here. Dropletto with a death touch. Soren makes the save on the barrier. Now NXCD to the top side. Looks for a nice punch on Streak, but ultimately no goals, no KOs found just yet. Though NXCD does have a flip available, and Katsuna about to have one as well. Merchant looking for a clear angle here, but it's a KO coming out from NXCD, and now up to the goal line. The Finiote coming out actually kind of messes it up a little bit. EKC kind of fumbling right now, as now they have to chase the core all the way back, and Streak is able to respawn. Missed core flip there from Merchant. Core flip here from Katsuna in the midfield, but misses the angle, and it just bounces straight up. Gives Bozo Bunch even more time to stay in this point. Dropletto with the core. Sends it around, doesn't find the barrier on that one. NXCD finally able to find the bottom corner. Very interesting point there.
Yeah, certainly. Not how I expected it to play out. EKC doing a very good job, though, on defense that point. Ensuring that Streak and Dropletto both could not always be committed to the play. Oh, that's unfortunate. Floats back and gets the double barrier, and Merchant's there to follow through on it. That's a nice little revenge point coming out from Bozo Bunch. But I do think that the EKC KO pipeline is finally flowing. We're seeing Dropletto and Streak really struggle to keep their stagger numbers up, and NXCD with this pummelers, when he's able to confirm those kills at last, it means a massive, massive burst of momentum, even larger than your typical power play, because now you have a fast Julie running around in your goal net. And she's so effective against Merchant, who's really the only one usually staying alive. Of course, there's an exception to that right now, which is that he is on literally 1 HP.
Yeah, Streak having to do some defense here. Wow, Merchant getting launched off the map by NXCD. The barrier falls. The banish coming out just a bit late. Katsuna, nice save by Dropletto with the death touch. Right in front of the goal line. A pass down to NXCD. Streak wins a strike war, though, and gets it out of there. Finiote sends it back around, ultimately back to Katsuna. Across the black hole. Core flip here from Soren, looking for the top side, but NXCD with the core flip of his own on the goal line, picks up the KO and dunks it in. But yeah, EKC will tie up the game with a set of their own, and Katsuna getting first pick.
Yeah, fantastic little core flip chain to close out the set there. And this is actually a very favorable draft for EKC. Lots of big awakenings that they're wanting here. Obviously, that Timeless Creator on Finny is pretty good, getting more value out of that ult. But I love that NXCD actually just gets free spark value here. I don't think leadership is really that big of a deal. The bigger part is that you're getting an extra 20 power off of that spark of strength. And this does also mean that Soren will end up with explosive entrance on the other side of this draft. Now, of course, those Luna Nukes are going to be hurting quite a bit more, the specialized training on Merchant. Dropletto did get more speed, so there's more of this kind of burst scoring potential on the side of Bozo Bunch now, where they can very explosively convert this quick KO that they've been doing with the Banish into Crater Maker combo, and then hopefully drop Leto's there to finish it off. And these Banishes are so valuable. I mean, catching both NXCD and Soren there in the double Banish from Streak will save the reverse power play here for Bozo Bunch. So I think both of these teams kind of got what they wanted out of that last draft and are already making quite good use of it. Sets are tied up 1-1, and this is going to be a massive set for deciding how the rest of the game is going to play out.
Yeah, and NXZD with the dash punch, another KO on the Merchant. Streak once again forced into the goal box here. A nice banish to buy time, a pillar to stop it once, but this is too much coming on that bottom side of the net for any one man to be able to stop all of it. As EKC be striking first here. And I mean, this game has been such a carnival. It really just kind of feels like it's going to go either way at any given point. Just depending, but I mean, NXCD with the 6 KO streak. Streak blown off the map right there. And EKC should be able to put this in the net with the core flip, and Katsuna will be able to do just that. And now EKC on set point.
Soren might have a fantastically disgusting Vice build right now. Extra special Deadeye, explosive entrance. So much damage, and he's getting those supernovas every single kickoff. Here comes another one to secure that second barrier, and even though EKC are in the midst of a power play not in their favor, looking quite strong still, and holding on to both barriers. I mean, look at this dribble show that Katsuna and Soren are putting on, only losing one barrier while waiting for NXC to come back. And that's a 3-0 set from EKC. Well played to them. Another draft going their way is just going to mean a swift victory. It's all down to what Awakenings show up here.
Yeah, I would say we got Fight or Flight, Heavy Impact. That's going to be a big one here. I wouldn't be surprised if Soren ends up going for that one. We also have Prize Fighter and Might available. Of course, Heavy Impact for the Vice. Prize Fighter going to Merchant. The Recovery Drone for NXZD. Pretty good pickup for staying alive. Fight or Flight. Fall to drop Leto. Cast less on the Finny, and not left with many options. Streak's going to go for the Orb Replicator. Get more energy, maybe a little bit more healing. Arrow on the Rune, and I think that might just seal the deal for EKC. I think they've got a really good draft there.
I agree, yeah. 3 fantastic Awakenings picked up. Mainly Soren getting that heavy impact. Already finding another KO here right at the start of the set. And even with the barriers down, like, the question becomes, what's the win condition? Except, you know, the core coming into empty space. It's just not going to. EKC swarms Bozo's net.
Yeah, that... I mean, 2 more points like that, if EKC could just keep it up and not essentially... This is their set to lose for sure. But nice kickoff from Bozo Bunch. Results in them getting 1 barrier. They almost had 2. Merchant's got to boost up for this midfield here. They do get the Recovery Drone off NXCD with the combo, but of course he uses their cooldowns to do that. So luckily they have that extra special to be able to do it again shortly. See if Bozo Bunch is able to hold on here, but Soren up in the goal box is able to bring out a second barrier. NXCD dashing in, doesn't quite have the distance to confirm that. Soren with the core, dribble off the center, pass to NXCD. Merchant trying to buy some time with the boost. It will force out of the Finny ult here, and Drop Leto able to recover. A nice point-blank death touch play brings down the second barrier. A banish into Crater Maker onto NXCD. Stays alive, though, somehow, and has a flip available, but is staggered and does need to be careful. Soren coming in with the Supernova, and NXCD with the wall KO. Burns the core flip forward, looking for the double off the flurries. It's just Merchant left. Katsuna to NXCD, back to Katsuna for the points, and they're going to hit stun Merchant, so they can't use the core flip. It's match point for EKC.
Yeah, we saw Drop Leto being sort of the only flash of hope left for Bozo in this game. When he gets the core, he's able to do a lot with it. Rasmus is very effective against these ranged characters, both Finny and Vice, on the defense of EKC. As long as he's alive and gets the core, there is still hope for Bozo Bunch in this match. But that being alive part, honestly, it's not even his life that Bozo are really worried about right now. Merchant and Streak both staggered on the back line dumping every cooldown under the sun, trying to keep this barrier alive. It is NXCD that gets taken off the map, though, and this power play could be the bit of purchase that Bozo needs.
Streak gets a nice banish into a pillar. That's going to be Katsuna gone. A double KO will allow Dropletto to bring down that second barrier. Soren trying to buy some time, but it becomes 2v2 now. Just Streak taken off the map. Merchant has a flip available. Almost gets KO'd there. NXCD, luckily was able to survive, and the midfielders now coming back online. They get 3-on-3. EKC need to bring down this final barrier to have a chance of getting this match. Dropletto looks for the shot. Soren makes a save, but not the second time. Dropletto brings it to the top corner and keeps Bozo Bunch in this one for a while longer. And they're going to have 2 flips to work with. Bozo Bunch not totally out of this yet.
And once more, Dropletto, the maestro, on that play, wonderfully keeping possession, allowing Streak and Merchant to come all the way up. And I can't even tell how he did that. I think that was a flip comboed with a death touch to stagger Katsuna. Now he's dead. The power plays are swinging in the other direction right now, and a well-placed pillar by Streak will secure a second goal, tying up the set. Bozo Bunch saying, we are not out of it yet.
Yeah, quick point there for Bozo Bunch. That's what I was saying. It's never truly over. I mean, okay.
Oh, that's
both barriers instantly gone. All the particle effects taking up 4 square feet of the field right there. Now Soren coming up. Core flip comes out from Merchant to clear it out, but gets KO'd and return out NXT with the core. Just dunks it in. EKC said we're not going to play around this point. Just finish it off. End the game. Let's go to the next one. I mean, that might have been a carnival of a match.
You know what, Bozo Bunch? Close, but no cigar on that one. EKC blowing up everything on the map, and I'm not just talking about the players of Bozo Bunch, I'm talking about their own barriers, almost blowing up their chances at winning that set as well in the process. But the numbers speak for themselves. That's 10 KOs on NXCD alone, and 4 more to Katsuna and Soren. And it wasn't just like, you know, the KOs were tight, except for the few supernovas that sent the core who knows where and took random barriers. I felt like EKC had a very strong core control presence in that game as well. It seemed like they were very effective at shutting Dropletto out of the play a lot of the times, just making sure that all lanes to Dropletto were cut off, which meant that Streak and Merchant were very much isolated on defense and had to deal with the onslaught of these KO abilities repeatedly throughout the game. So between all of those factors, even though it was a little spooky there in that last set, I think that was a fantastic performance from EKC. It was a carnival of the game, but they made it an entertaining carnival, and it was still a pretty convincing victory. But I'm excited to see what Game 2 holds for us. I believe we're headed to Demon Dias, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, if anything I think can be learned from that game is that EKC's biggest enemies might be themselves. A lot of the points, not all the points, but some of the points that Bozo Bunch were getting were due to EKC either having some kind of communications breakdown or just sort of self-sabotaging themselves a little bit. So, I mean, going over to Demon Days, this is going to be another wild match for sure. No doubt about it. So when it comes to stuff like that, EKC probably just need to like take a step back and like tighten that up. And they should be able to make this series a pretty decent sweep from what we've seen there. But it could also all kind of fall apart, and Bozo Bunch could just continue to play well and take it all back. I think it's really EKC's game to lose and really their series to lose right here. So it's gonna be interesting to see what this draft holds. I don't know how you deal with NXCD if you're Bozo Bunch. I think you just gotta like pick like Atlas or something and pray. I'm not really sure what the.
I mean, there's always the answer of just kill the brawler, right?
Yeah, it's true. You could try and go for the rune again, honestly, and just try and keep him perma-banished.
Well, notably, Rune is a pretty decent midfielder on Demon Days. There was a chunk of time where he was considered far and wide the best midfielder on Demon Days. But that was quickly overshadowed by Now and even Finney for a chunk of time, which we saw in that last game. Katsuna rocking the Finney midfield. You can absolutely make it work. So I'll be excited to see if Finney either gets banned, and if Finney doesn't get banned, whether it'll be one of our lovely goalies or if we'll get to see some more of these midfielders experimenting around with Finney. I think she's a very fun character to see in the midfield because even though her kit is like not entirely the normal style of a midfielder, it's not super responsive. You have to be more predictive, cast those abilities pretty early. She always has cooldowns, so she can always do something in the midfield, which means in the hands of these NASL level players, she can be a highly entertaining and highly valuable pick. But we are hopping
Yeah,
into the draft
speaking
now.
of cooldowns, I mean, Spark of
Yeah.
Focus on the board here, as well as Stinger. Yucky, yucky, yucky. I mean, yeah, this.
And this
I
is
don't
a
think you could have
recently
asked for a
buffed
better one.
Stinger.
I don't think you could have asked for a better set of circumstances for game two of this series right now. So yeah, we're gonna see what picks up. Big pickups are Rune and Finney. I think
Well, and we
if
can't forget about Zentaro,
yeah, obviously,
right?
yeah, we can't think about. I was about to mention that. EKC gonna be banning out the Now makes sense. If Bozo Bunch doesn't ban out Zentaro here, I mean they might have to actually.
Yeah,
Do you
that
think that
is
on a Stinger start
NXZD's best, one of his best
and
characters, like as a
yeah,
player, and probably his best option to pick here, especially with Stinger being one of the starting awakenings. And
they
Zen is
banned the
so strong right
Juliet.
now. Yeah, wow.
Okay, they
Okay.
banned the Juliet. So EKC has first pick. They could go for the Zentaro here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah, there's Zentaro, there's Finney on the board here.
Yeah, leaves the Finny open if they do pick the Zen first. So, but honestly, if you get the Zentaro and NXED, do you really care about the Finny at that point? Oh, they actually first picked the Finny.
Yeah, which I do think that that is probably the more influential pick, but not by a super large margin. And it's followed quickly by Zentaro Vice, which are two of the best abusers of Stinger, as well as two of the most infamously volatile picks on Demon Days. I mean, you can just so explosively dish out damage on this map. Everybody's all crowded up. Those chain lightnings hit literally everybody and are just going to be absolutely shredding the healing of the enemy team. That's Luna, picked up by EKC this go round. Presumably that's Katsuna piloting the signature Luna in the midfield, which means I'm guessing that this is Soren on Finney goalie, which leaves the question, what is it that NXCD is going to draft in this final pick that EKC has?
X. Oh no, it's
X.
Imi. Double midfield.
I
I
like
mean, it's like
this.
yeah,
Yes.
that's interesting. And then
And
Juno for Bozo Bunch.
not the first time that we have seen the NXZD IME Brawler come out. This has shown up a few times for EKC, and I think that he usually puts on quite a show with it. I think also probably one of the better picks that they could have made for having a kill securing character, because now you have the Luna and the IME who can both pretty effectively capitalize on staggered characters. You did also have, maybe you could play like a Vambrace Kazan, a Vambrace Rasmus, but I think that IME is going to make it to where EKC can really multitask, turning the tide of the midfield in their favor, consistently dishing out damage, and essentially not ever affording possession to the side of Bozo Bunch. So if that game plan plays out exactly as it looks like they're laying it out here, it should be a swift victory for EKC. Which brings up the next question. What are Bozo Bunch going to have to do to respond to that in turn?
Yeah. I mean, they have I think the first question is where's this Vice going? I assume on goalie? I guess we
Yeah, it's
can't
probably
really tell,
Merchant.
but it's probably Merchant on goalie, right? So they've got a very considerable amount of damage here. And I think there's gonna be a lot of play around this Juno when it comes to the core, right? I think that's kind of your hold on to the core as long as possible character that is gonna force EKC to have to burn more abilities, just trying to deal with that and not instantly lose their barriers, hopefully, and not be able to necessarily focus as much damage as they might initially like onto the Zentaro or something. So that might honestly be more of a key piece here than we're initially giving it credit for. And Stinger Juno does deal quite a bit of passive damage just by stepping on all the slimes. So I like what Bozo Bunch's comp is. And I think the question is going to be whether EKC can be quick enough and coordinated enough on finding these KOs and finding these damage. Because, like, let's face it, like, if they're not getting KOs with this comp, they are doing nothing. I thoroughly doubt that they're going to be able to win a solid core control battle here. So it's going to be like, can they get the KOs that they need in a quick enough manner that and then actually capitalize on it? Because last game we saw quite a few times where they sort of fumbled the power play around, and I think that's going to be the big difference here.
Yeah, for sure. And it is an XCD on that IME brawler, as we predicted. One thing I will say that I like about Bozo Bunch's comp is we do have just nice synergies kind of all around. Obviously, we've seen Vice Goalie played on this map since when she was introduced to the game alongside this map. And we've seen Juno Zentaro as kind of one of those classic offensive duo comps where they're able to dish out a lot of damage. Juno's pretty tanky, is pretty good into these KO comps. And in addition to that, they both synergize really well off of one another's core control. Juno puts some slimes out there to take up space, and Zentaro is able to capitalize on that really well with all of his core stops, as well as being able to damage all of the enemies that have to fly in order to deal with all those slimes. That being said, despite Juno being tanky, it is Streak that is the first one KO'd in what is almost certainly about to be a bloodbath of a match. And NXCD will cyber swipe in to find the first goal for EKC.
Yeah, and something tells me that this might be the way that this match is gonna go. Because like I said at the beginning, I still think this is EKC's match ultimately to lose. Whether or not that ultimately comes to fruition, I guess we'll find out. But we should note, Soren and Dropletto were the ones who took the sparks. Everyone else, of course, went with the stinger. So when it comes to the draft, those are the players that you're going to want to look out for the potential scaling. And we talked a lot about the Zentaro stinger, but going for the spark instead definitely shake things up a little bit. The Streak getting KO'd there. And that's not good for Bozo Bunch at all, because now they got to contend with the full might of the Pummelers NXZD. Assaulting this barrier right now. They're doing a good job holding on. Nice save here from Merchant around the back of the barrier. The Creator Maker comes in. So far, still holding on to this top corner. There's the glitch pop and a boost in from Katsuna. Finally able to open up this goal. Merchant back up to Streak. Katsuna able to cut the pass here. NXZD blinking in with the glitch pop. It gets cleared out. And Bozo Bunch trying to push back, but not able to gain a sizable foothold. Soren holding on to the core, just letting them fight Dropletto for a little bit. NXZD also looking pretty hurt, but Katsuna has a flip available. There's the Supernova, gonna wait it out. Perfect patience. Perfect patience from Katsuna. That was like frame perfect after the Supernova ended. The core flip ended. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, what a way for that point to end. But I also want to comment on the way that EKC are making the barriers happen. It is kind of what I predicted at the start of the match, which is with this double midfield comp, they're very much just going to toe the midfield line repeatedly and just keep sending the core back behind the barrier, which might at first glance seem like they're not going to do much. But here's the thing. On Demon Days, if you don't commit all three of your players to defense, it can be very, very hard to get the core cleared. So Bozo Bunch kind of forced to bring everybody back, and then you have these massive AoE abilities. You have the Luna Nuke coming in. You have Aimee sending glitch pops into the middle of it all. You have Finny dropping all of her bullcrap down in the middle of it. And all that means that as long as the core is behind the barrier of Bozo Bunch, there's a lot of tempo in the favor of EKC. Bozo Bunch did make something happen there for a moment, but as soon as this power play comes out, another KO onto Streak, that's another point to EKC. That's a 3-0 set for them, and it looks like their game plan is working flawlessly right now.
Yeah, and with the scaling leaning now pretty heavily in their favor. Spark of Leadership showing up really early on here. We do see Dropletto is ahead of NXCD, or not ahead of Soren though, so Soren will probably end up taking that. But Ad Rush is on the board. Fight or Flight extra special, of course, going to go over to Katsuna. Very dangerous awakening on that Luna. It will be Explosive Entrance picked up by Soren though. And Ad Rush going over to Dropletto. No one touching the Spark of Leadership here. Other stuff is a little bit more tempting. Missile Prop on the Vice. Fight or Flight going to go to NXCD. Really strong awakening there, and ultimately just Glass Cannon left for Streak. We'll see how useful that ends up being, but I think EKC definitely comes out of that one with a pretty good haul of awakenings.
Yeah, well, and I gotta compliment Soren there. That seems like a bit of a soul read on the draft, recognizing that Dropletto is not interested in picking up that Spark, which I would say is also, a good move by Dropletto. When you're down like this, especially when you're down against a KO comp, you don't need to play like the long term for scaling. You don't know if that's ever going to work, especially with new Sparks, because there's no resilience here. You're not going to ever get like a ton of stagger out of this. So going for something that's good right now we're seeing the Ad Rush that he picked up come into play. They get this power play, and Dropletto is able to kind of run around for a little bit, but it was some nice defense from Soren and NXT to make sure that not too much was gotten by Bozo Bunch off of that power play. But basically what I'm trying to say is Soren recognizing that Dropletto wasn't interested in the Spark meant that he was able to kind of outplay him in that draft by denying away the Explosive Entrance, which would have been Zentarro's best awakening. And that's the kind of foresight that will give EKC a 1-point lead here in the start of set 2.
Yeah, getting that KO on Merchant. The core went right through where the eject button was, so well timed there. And a lot of damage on the Merchant here. Has to spend the last bit of his energy. We'll be able to pick up the orb and heal up here, but so far EKC pretty much dominating in both the damage and core control department right now. Not worrying too much about their barriers, and they're just going to pick up another KO there. Dropletto, though, able to even it up, make it a 2v2 with the Zen ults. As the Ad Rush proc is pushing into the corner there. Merchant pushing up to the midfield line as well. So we're just going to buy some time, it looks like, for Katsuna to come back. Dropletto looking to bring it into the top corner, but there's Katsuna boosting in. Now NXCD with the core. Merchant finding a clear from the center. Creator Maker coming in the top corner. NXCD looking for a shot. It'll get blocked. Now Katsuna, they're getting beat up a little bit. Bozo Bunch pushing back. Boosting in. Katsuna not quite able to find the core here. Dropletto up to Streak. Looking for the top side. Has the Blobbo. NXCD making some nice saves in the corner, though. Another Blobbo sending it forward. Zemo on the line. Doesn't have the angle. Someone's going to be able to send it out. There's the Creator Maker. Nice save by Merchant. Gets the evade as well. And a pass up to Dropletto here. Core flip from NXCD around looking for the demon angle, but Merchant's right there, and Katsuna can't find the boost. A nice save against the Rocket. Merchant quick on the reactions to keep this point going. Maybe give the forwards another chance to pass up to the Blobbo. Soren able to block that one. Streak brings it back down to the bottom side. Dropletto to the top corner, but Soren's right there. Very quick on this Finny boosting, and Katsuna finally able to connect with the boost and gets the KO on the Merchant. That's how you can't beat Merchant with a quick reaction check. He's got to knock him into the goal box, apparently.
Yeah, that's... Any port in a storm here, right? That's kind of how both of these teams are acting. The points are going so long, but any opportunity that presents itself is immediately seized. And Bozo Bunch are trying so hard to make these KOs happen more consistently, but wow, what a good evasion from Kitsuna, calling out the Oni's blade there. It's going to be tough for Bozo Bunch to consistently confirm these KOs, which is really what they need to make movements in this game. And again, fantastic defense from Soren. Stalls out this power play once more. But he might find himself KO'd here shortly. We saw this last point as well, where there was a lot of damage dished out to Soren, but Dropletto's gone off the pitch once more. It's a power play for EKC again.
And we'll pick up that second barrier here. NXED just dribbling with the core, not able to make much happen, but it might be another KO. Nice elusive, though, from Katsuna to prevent that from happening. Down to NXED boosting against Katsuna, forces the core flip out of Merchant. Katsuna to the top side, Streak able to make the save. Trying to do so again here. Jumping in over the midfield, Merchant teleporting up into the Supernova. Nice pass from Dropletto to set that play up. And Merchant will get the points. Bozo Bunch finally able to put themselves on the board here, but it's still set point for EKC.
Yeah, it's very spooky. EKC just more consistently are making the KO game work, right? Like, right off kickoff, we see Streak and Dropletto taken to half health. And the Finny debuffs are getting applied. Katsuna did with Dash and Rocket there, which is very unfortunate. But when that's not happening, it's looking very strong. Katsuna is getting punished here. This could be Bozo Bunch's opportunity to steal the point back in their direction. Still staggered. Merchant will burn the Supernova there, but Katsuna wisely stands such that it sends them to the enemy side of the map. But Streak will find it with a Blobbo. That's the glass cannon difference right there. Not often that we see glass cannon actually have any sort of value on Demon Days. Usually you're getting hit so often that you don't even really get to stack it up. But occasionally the Awakening makes a difference on this map.
Nice play there to even up the barriers, but NXED kind of running for his life a little bit. Dropletto also staggered as well. Be a fight over this orb that NXED able to pick it up though. Get back to health. There's a bunch of salting this barrier, but the Creator Maker gonna take Dropletto off the field. Now EKC with an open net available. A little bit of a muff pass there. Now NXED back to Katsuna. Sends it a little bit too far back, and Merchant teleports up, looking to take advantage. Not able to find much, though. Back to 3v3. Another Crater Maker coming out. Streak taking a lot of damage here, has to avoid the Finial. Getting boosted in. Katsuna another KO. And now the Supernova coming out, looking to get some damage, but Merchant not able to connect. And it's Katsuna who finds the top corner of the net. And another set going over to EKC.
Yeah, I mean, this game, it's making it look like Juno has no stagger at all. She's one of the highest stagger characters in the game, but EKC are repetitively taking Streak off the map. And, I mean, if you're killing the enemy midfielder, that's the linchpin of success in a game of Omega Strikers, right? The midfielder is the whole reason that you're able to convert between defense and offense. The whole reason that you're able to keep possession on offense and hopefully put some goals in. So, Streak being KO'd is such a problem for Bozo Bunch. And with Deadeye Luna and Monumentalist Finny, I mean, the tempo is swinging even further in the favor of EKC. So many critical awakenings picked up that draft by them. That being said, some light on the horizon. We have Hotshot Juno now. That being said, the Juno is not alive right now.
Yeah,
I'm not expecting the Juno to be alive too much. But if Bozo Bunch are somehow able to make it to overtime, they have a lot of core speed on their side. They have Team Player. They have Hotshot Juno. So if the points last long, they have a big advantage. But that's a big if, Lego.
Yeah. I mean, Dropletto literally just walked back there and just fought NXZD to make a power play happen. While Soren is literally just up in the midfield line, getting shots on the net. But NXZD back online now. The Zenult versus the Finial. Who will win? The Finial, ultimately. Crater Maker comes in. Huge damage onto Streak right there. That's Core getting up to Dropletto, looking for the Slice and Dice. Doesn't find the connection, but it's another power play for EKC on the other side. There's the Supernova. Send it back across and buy some time. Soren lobbing the Core back in right here. The triple take coming out and getting some damage. But in Merchant, teleporting up and getting caught in the midfield, taken off the map here. Streak in the goal box, trying to hold it down against yet another EKC power play. Core flip from NXZD is blocked, though. Dropletto has a flip here from the midfield. It's going to be instantly blocked by NXZD. Merchant teleporting back up off free spawn, looking for the power cord, but Soren makes the save. Dropletto had another chance there, but lost the strike war. Now the Firewall Sentry comes out from NXZD across the center of the net. Streak up in the top side, setting up the Blobos. Dropletto is staggered, but has a potential shot. The power core chain lightning ruined the angle and totally mixed up EKC. A crazy primary there from Merchant to get the points.
And dare I say it, Lego, the crazy lads did it. They made it to overtime. Bozo Bunch have shown us that it can be done. They can survive that long, even if it means all 3 members of the team dying multiple times along the way to make that overtime possible. But now they're getting power plays of their own. They don't even need to make it to overtime to make these plays happen. We're seeing light at the end of the tunnel for Bozo Bunch. The series might not be over yet.
It's never over till it's over. But NXZD getting mauled in the backfield yet again, activating Dropleto's ad rush. That'll be an open goal on EKC's side, up to Streak. Katsuna able to make a save here, but Soren is not long for this world. Gets hit by that secondary, and there's going to be able to set up a passing play. Bozo Bunch bringing it to set point here, seeming to unlock something. Once they acquired the awakenings they needed, perhaps, and are starting to make this a real game. Wow.
Oh, a nice kill combo by NXCD is going to make it hard to keep that streak up. And that's pun intended, because streak is probably going to be not up very much longer. But Dropleto is back on the board. EKC wasn't able to put any damage out over the course of that power play, even though they did find barriers. Dropleto is also finding barriers, though, and just one more point could send Bozo Bunch into the draft that could help them turn this game completely around.
Both sides opened up here. There's some damage on both of the forwards as NXTD, who gets the kill combo first, looks for the core flip here, but Streak makes a save. Makes yet another great save here, but a pass to Katsuna, and that'll finally be enough to put the point away for EKC. I mean, it's just been a brawl, and whoever's able to get the power play going the best seems to get a huge leg up. So, of course, as you said, Bozo Bunch looking a lot better once that overtime hits, obviously.
Yeah, and Merchant and Streak are doing quite a good job on this defensive side. NXCD was able to catch a nice strike or there and find the first barrier, but the Finny ult is defended through right there, and that is a massive boon. Oh, a nice cyber swipe, though. But Dropleto does find the power play. This is Bozo Bunch's time to bring it back. Soren having to burn the defensive flip. Streak having to burn his as well, unfortunately. But Katsuna is staggered here. It's likely that the power play will continue for the side of Bozo Bunch.
Now, Dropleto's just hunting this KO here, but nice defense from Soren. Core flip from Merchant in the midfield. Doesn't find much, but they do pick up the KO. Now Bozo Bunch looking to finish this off. This ad rush has been putting in work for Dropleto. Now Streak up to Dropleto, looking for the slice and dice. Nice evade from Soren to clear it out of there. Now Katsuna off. Respawn boosting in to find the points. Katsuna. Wild play. Ponders the orb indeed. Brings it to match point for EKC. Series point for them as well. But Bozo Bunch still with the opportunity to drag this one out a bit longer.
EKC doing their best to extinguish the light of hope and shut out all possibility of Bozo Bunch bringing this one back. But Dropleto is keeping that hope alive. A nice core flip will secure the set and ensure that Bozo Bunch lives to fight another day. This draft could be a massive, massive turning point. I see heavy impact. I see super surge. All sorts of fantastic, fantastic awakenings here. And the world is Dropleto's oyster with this super surge.
Yeah, that's a big pickup. Heavy impacts for NXZD is pretty good here as well. Spec training going to Merchant, who already has the stinger. Spark here for Soren. It will be the second spark for Soren. So spark of speed, spark of cooldown, not bad. Twin drive for Streak, and Katsuna just going with the Orb Ponderer. But some good stuff here for both sides. I really like what Bozo Bunch came out with, though. Merchant's been quietly doing a lot this match, I think. And that's specialized training. Yeah, they got to be really careful now, because now you can kind of match that Deadeye Luna. That being said, I mean, here's the power play for Bozo Bunch. Dropleto just looking to score this one, and yeah, with the slice and dice, that'll do it. And now Bozo Bunch are the ones who look to be running away with this match.
Yeah, I would say that to say that Merchant is quietly having a big impact on this map is not doing it justice. I would say it's very loud. He's teleporting into the enemy side of the field. He's dropping down guitar solos with specialized trading, absolutely decimating EKC's stagger bars. And he's also teleporting in. Like, these Thunderstrucks have been so critical by Merchant to grab barriers and cut out options for the EKC defense. That means that Bozo Bunch get a 2-point lead here. They're not even having to make it to overtime to take advantage of this stuff. I mean, obviously the Juno hotshot still very much playing a role even before overtime. But certainly, Bozo Bunch looking quite strong now. Completely different from what we saw in those early sets.
Katsuna taking a lot of damage here, and I mean, Katsuna just moved to a good angle and just accepted that, but Dropletto quick to catch him and send him off the map. Another power play here for Bozo Bunch. Merchant not looking too healthy, but luckily trying to send the core around. Teleports up to the midfield. It gets caught by NXZD, though. Now it's a 2v2 here for a little while. Katsuna back online, immediately boosts in and picks off the second barrier. Soren trying to get it past the midfield line, but Streak doing a good job holding it with the Blobos. Core flip here from Soren to try and send it around. It's going to get blocked up by Streak. NXCD jumping in. A glitch pop self-pass looking for the goal. Doesn't find it here, though. Not the angle that we're looking for. Dropletto dashing in does have a flip available to potentially get this second barrier. Big supernova in the midfield. Merchant picks up another KO. Core flip from Dropletto opens up EKC's side of the field. NXCD not looking healthy. Burns the flip. Is out of everything. And now it's Bozo Bunch just pushing up all three members, ignoring NXCD. Katsuna is back online, but they're trying to force this core in. Katsuna made a nice save there, but Merchant was able to rotate around. Now NXCD looking for the cyber swipe. Doesn't connect. Has another opportunity that goes to the bottom of Merchant's ready for it. Another shot to the bottom here. Not caught by the Zenolts. And NXCD will put EKC back on the board here to try and prevent this from going to a set 5.
Yeah, that was... Thank you, Soren. Both Katsuna and NXCD better be thanking the crap out of Soren for that last point. Some seriously insane plays to hold against the power play of Bozo Bunch. He's going to have to do it again, though. Bozo Bunch sweeping in, grabbing both barriers, and probably going to find a kill shortly thereafter. But actually, no, their barriers get taken out, and it's both goals open.
Streak got lucky on that angle there, stood in the corner and boosting in Katsuna. Oh! Another goal side KO to dunk the core in. And series point yet again for EKC.
Yeah, they've been here before. Can they close it out this time? And the much bigger question, Bozo Bunch have been here before. Can they manage to eke out another set? It is a reverse power play, but the barriers are in their favor. If they can hold here and get Dropletto back online, they still have a shot. They're going to have to defend through this Finny ult, though. Dropletto comes back. Streak has a jump ready. Probably looking for a scoring opportunity here. Dropletto blinking in, but Merchant almost getting taken out by the Crater Maker there. All three members of EKC looking alive and well, but this barrier is still up. Merchant still defending it, managing to stay alive despite being staggered for ages now. The goal finally opens up, but it's too late. I don't know what happened
Soren
there. I don't know.
Lagged out.
I think he did too. That's really unfortunate for EKC, but it does mean that Bozo Bunch get to stay alive another set. Lego, talk us through this draft. There's some pretty important stuff here.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy point and the worst possible time for Soren to get lag right there. But yeah, 1-2 punch, bulk up. There's a Spark of Powers on the table as well. Soren already has 2 sparks, by the way. I think that might be... 1-2 punch is there, and that's pretty deadly as well. There's like every damage awakening, by the way. It will be the Spark of Power, though, for the Finny prize fighter. Of course, going out to NXCD. But 1-2 punch on Dropletto is terrifying. Reptile Remedy here on Merchant is going to be huge for trying to stay alive. Merchant has gotten staggered quite a bit. And Big Fish here for Katsuna will just mean a little bit more stagger to work with. But it's all the way to set 5. Both sides have some crazy damage pumped into their forwards, and it's immediate KO here for EKC. They've got the power play. They get 1 barrier. They get 2 barriers, and they're looking for the point. Soren looking to lob it in, but Dropletto doing good, buying some time here. Merchant up in the midfield, goes for the supernova, but it's another KO here from EKC. Merchant looking for the Soren angle, but Captain is right there to tip it in. A quick point for EKC.
And what a high value point it was, getting NXCD up to 3 prize fighter stacks right off the bat. That means that both Soren and NXCD are rocking over 150 power right now between Soren, Sparks, and NXCD having that prize fighter. And as the Bozo Bunch barriers go down, we're starting to see a resurgence of those first couple sets. EKC back in full swing.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah, Bozo Bunch in a really rough situation here. 2 incredibly fast points from EKC. We'll see if they're able to recover at all. The ult's dropping very early on here. NXCD coming out of that pretty hurt, but Dropletto was as well. NXCD spent the core flip to stay alive and get some damage in, but one barrier down here for Bozo Bunch. Able to sneak the core past Soren here around to the bottom side. Not able to pick up a second barrier though. Merchant's Supernova doesn't find anything but the air, unfortunately, and Dropletto able to pick up a KO though onto Soren. It's a goalie power play for Bozo Bunch, but their barriers are gone and finds a double though. Dropletto taking names right now. 3-on-1. It's just NXCD. The goal is open. Dropletto with the core down to the bottom. What a save from NXCD on the glitch pop. Keeps it alive. Soren's back up. They drop the firewall sentry. There's Capsuna. It's 3-on-3. Both sides opened up here. But Dropletto gets another KO. Another ad rush proc. Merchant up in the midfield. Doesn't have time to use the core flip. Gets out of there. Here comes the Crater Maker. Doesn't find any damage though. A pass up. Dropletto looking for the slice. Nice. Soren, what a save with the evade versus the primary. And Merchant going to send it right back in. Streak off to Dropletto. Can't get it through 2 bodies. Merchant teleporting up, still holding on to this core flip. And EKC still making the saves on the net. Dropletto in the bottom corner, up to the top side! And Bozo Bunch will take the point, and they just keep hanging on.
Yeah, incredible plays from all 3 members of Bozo Bunch. Dropletto getting so many critical kills, and even though he was having a little bit of trouble finding the final goal there, Soren doing such a good job in the goal box. Streak and Merchant holding strong on the back line. And as they get barriers again in this point, Bozo Bunch still looking strong here. Dropletto flips and he finds the goal. It's set 5.5.
Oh God. It was all on the line for Dropletto right there. Staggered, had the flip. Perfect positioning, perfect shot. It is cinema right now. Set 5.5, but Dropletto taken off the field. Both barriers down for Bozo Bunch. Merchant teleporting up to the midfield. Just trying to hold on to this core. Buy some time. NXT to the top side, and just like that, it's over. EKC finish out the game after a tumultuous couple sets there. Bozo Bunch almost did it, but that power play. Dropletto getting taken out early there. It ultimately ended everything. EKC will be taking the series over Bozo Bunch.
Yeah, EKC, if I'm not mistaken, spending 5 points of that match on series point. And it was down to the wire on set 5.5 to secure them the series. I mean, Bozo Bunch, props to them for keeping the fire alive the whole time. I'm baffled that they were able to take it that far. But EKC are the ones that come out on top. Soren with 248 redirects, 40,000 damage each on NXCD and Katsuna, and 10 KOs apiece, 20 overall to the side of EKC. That was a significantly closer match than I expected. Like, I kind of expected just one team or the other to kind of snowball over the course of the game. But every single draft, it just seemed like the scales were swinging wildly in one direction or the other. But EKC were the ones that found the critical power plays in that final set, and in particular that final point. That brings them out to a victory. 13 goals over the course of that match. What a game and what a series.
I mean, 12 KOs from Dropletto there was a huge difference maker for Bozo Bunch. They almost had that. They were extremely close to making it happen. It all came down to just a bunch of little things that really added up. But yeah, what an incredible series there that was. But yeah, that's all for that series. So next series, what is the next series, by the way?
That's a fantastic question, Lego. I haven't been paying attention to the schedule.
Dubu RTF. It's Dubu RTF.
Thank goodness we have Saya in our ear. We love you, Saya.
Yeah,
you're incredible.
We're gonna throw it to a quick break, and when we come back, Dubu RTF.
した日々説明のつかない感情難しい言葉